autonomous robots have become a huge part of modern society, but their true peak only came when the DZ automaton was created. Derrida Ivain is the son of Jacques Ivain, who spent half his life developing the DZs. But one day, Derrida and his friend Nathan visit their manager, Andre, to report a critical bug on the DZs. They tell him that giving the same command to several DZs simultaneously may result in the robots going rampage. However, Andre dismisses it as something impossible to occur, and insists they can't recall the robots sold and should cover up the bug. He accuses Derrida of wanting to spoil his father's hard work out of jealousy by recalling the sold robots. They leave Andre's office, and Derrida decides to visit his father the next day to report the big issue as he wants to attend Maeve's birthday, who's Nathan's daughter. So that night, he goes for Maeve's birthday. After the birthday party, Nathan asks Derrida to help him with his experiment on the time leap. Derrida refuses, as he's the one who created the time leap theory, until he realizes that the experiment is a time waste and a dream that can't be actualized. Mage hears the conversations. As Derrida attempts to leave, Mage engages him in a discussion about the time leap. She tells him she is also interested in it and tries to convince him to help with her father's experiments. But Derrida ignores her. Before he leaves, he hands her a chip card that she should give to Nathan. The following day, Derrida visits his father, and he talks about the big and gives his father the second copy of the chip. He asks about the rumor that DZ is to be deployed in wars. His father asks him to step back from the issue, and he gets angry as he feels that his father never recognized him. Upon returning to work, he receives a call that Mage is sick after she did some experiment on the time leap. At night, Derrida awakes with Nathan calling him. Nathan tells him their lives are at risk, and he should get ready as Nathan is heading to pick him up. In the car, Nathan tells him that Andre has militarized the DZ, so he refuses to call the robots back. They drive away, but their car flips when Andre tries to turn the car to get the chip that Derrida has given to Mage. Andre catches up with them and reveals he killed Derrida's father and will frame Derrida for killing Andre, and then end his own life. Andre orders his men to shoot the car. The explosion sends Derrida falling near the cliff. He gets up and walks through a forest and sees visions of Mage appearing and disappearing. He falls into a laboratory and rests in a capsule. The capsule restrains his arms and legs while closing, making him realize he's inside a cryostasis chamber. He gets frozen and falls asleep. While asleep, a girl leaves a chain and paper on the chamber. Sometime later, the chamber opens up, and he notices the chain as he comes out of the chamber. He walks out of the laboratory, and all he sees is destruction around him. Derrida walks into a destroyed city and finds some DZ robots there. They notice him and start shooting at him right away. He manages to get away and hide behind a collapsed building. A man named Vidox sees and helps him. He asks Vidox where he is, and Vidox tells him it's 2060. He realizes he is 10 years in the future. He follows Vidox to his car and meets his adopted daughter, Mayuka. In the car, Mayuka scans him so they can get their payment, as Vidox insists he doesn't help people for free. However, they do not find any survivor ID on him. He reaffirms to Vidox that he just woke up after about 10 years of sleep. They drive the robot car called Graham among the DZ around and eventually get to safety. Derrida realizes that if he can get the chip he gave Mage, he may be able to control the DZ. He asks Vidox to help him, but Vidox refuses because he doesn't have money, so he explains what he is to Vidox and tells him his past. He tells Vidox he has been pronounced dead, but he can change everything that has been happening. They drive to Nathan's house. He meets a young girl who looks like Mage from 10 years ago, but the girl says she is Ange. He figures that's the same girl that led him to the lab 10 years ago. He visits Nathan's house in hopes of finding Mage. As he looks around, a woman points a gun at him. He recognizes her to be Yuri, Mage's best friend. He tells her who he is and asks about Mage. Yuri tells him that Mage is dead. Yuri takes him to Mage's grave, but she isn't sure he is Derrida because news outlets announced 10 years ago that Derrida died after killing Nathan and his father. Derrida explains what happened to him. Donna, a strong mercenary sent to kill Derrida by Andre, arrives. Vidox holds off Donna while the others run to the car. Donna is a robotic assassin, and she is smart, but Vidox finds his way around her. Vidox returns. He asks Derrida who is after him as only top-class people hire Donna, but Derrida doesn't know. Vidox insists he will get the payment for protecting him and they drive away from Donna. Unfortunately, Donna attacks them again from above. They escape to a base camp cave where Derrida tells Yuri he knows her, and he explains how they met on Mage's birthday. He reassures her he is indeed Derrida and she decides to trust him. She takes him to her house in the marketplace and shows him several pictures of Mage. She confesses that Mage is still alive. and she creates a decoy grave when she finds out Mage is being chased. She says that several governmental organizations came in search of Mage after the killing spree 10 years ago, so she had to protect her. Unfortunately, Mage escaped from home last year, leaving Yuri with a video. Derrida leaves Yuri to find Mage and he sees Ange again. She asks him to return to Yuri. He goes back and saves Yuri from a falling building. Vidoc saves them both and drives them to a desert for rest. In the desert, Derrida asks Yuri to return to her parents while he finds Mage, but she refuses. She claims she must see the matter through and find her friend. Yuri shows Derrida the last video Mage left for her. She suggests that if it's RErideD and the government that was after Mage, then she will have information about where she is. They all leave and head to RErideD's company building. As they get to the underground tunnel that leads to the company, they meet several DZ. Derrida finds out the DZ has a low battery, and they are just standing by pending the time they will be at risk, so he suggests they switch off their Graham's light. However, it isn't enough, so Vidoc drives and crushes them. Vidoc and Derrida enter RErideD. With the aid of Derrida's overridden access card, they gain entrance. On their way, Vidoc tells Derrida he won't be involved in revenge, and if Derrida's aim is revenge, they have to split. They enter, and Vidoc finds all information on Mage. At the same time, Derrida goes to his former office and accesses Nathan's laptop and finds something really weird. Graham informs them human security is coming, so they escape from the facilities with the information gathered. As they get home, Derrida informs the others that the bug isn't a mistake, and he finds a document that shows it was intentionally planted, and the contract was signed by all the company executives except his father. He promises to find the truth, and Vidoc decides to continue helping him. Derrida speaks of a dream he had about Maeve's birthday. In his dream, he was late to the party, but Yuri reveals that he was actually late, proving it with the recording. He starts questioning himself if he changed the past with time leap. Yuri figures a key to Maeve's location and asks them to visit the Vanport Museum of Modern Life. As they enter, Derrida feels like he has visited it before. Donna arrives again. Vidoc stays around to fight Donna while Yuri and Derrida try to find information about Mage. As they both run, Yuri falls and her camera breaks. Derrida finds a statue and remembers he once visited the museum with his father during the statue launching. He goes back to Maeve's birthday. In his flashback, he sees that he visited his father that night and warned him ahead of Andre's attack. But his father didn't heed because he already knew the truth and told Derrida to run away. In the present, he notices Yuri's camera isn't broken, and his memory has changed again. Vidoc holds off Donna, and they all escape from the facility. In the car, Derrida watches the video and sees Mage talking with Cassiel, a RErideD researcher. Vidoc tells Derrida that Cassiel is now a destructed Garbon. They attempt to travel there, but their car stops, so Vidoc goes to find a mechanic while Derrida and Yuri stay at an abandoned building. In the building, Yuri talks about Derrida's thesis on time travel and shows him a picture on her camera of where he traveled. While looking at it, he sees a trance of Ange again. Ange tells him Pandora's box has been opened for him, and he should use it well. He figures the way to time travel is to think of the day he wants to go. And with vivid memory, he can time travel. He does this several times, but it doesn't avert the danger. He eventually returns to the present world to sleep. The following day, he learns from Vidoc that Yuri has been kidnapped the night before. Derrida leaves the group to search for Yuri. After a futile search, he returns to the group at the mechanic's workshop. Vidoc mocks him for his futile effort. He tells him a man named Schmidt-Mayer is looking for him. And if that's the case, it means Yuri's kidnapper will try to use Yuri as a hostage. Just as Vidoc has assumed, Yuri's kidnapper, Schmidt-Mayer, who works for the government, approaches Derrida to exchange Yuri for the chip. Derrida returns to the workshop and tells his group about this. They make a great plan to give him a blank memory card since they also do not have the chip. They get to the exchange point that night. Derrida asks that the exchange be documented. At this point, Mayuka throws a smoke bomb, and they escape. They have to ride in the waters, and Grand as well. They eventually reach a safe point where Yuri confesses that she was the one who opened the chip a year ago, and that was what alerted the government about the existence of the chip. They travel to Garbon to meet Cassiel. On their way, they fall into a trap, and their communication is interrupted. Vidoc figures it may be Donna's trap, and since they know Donna doesn't attack in public, they decide to stay at a hotel. In the hotel, Derrida tells Yuri he recognized the voice that bugged their communication. Also, Vidoc arrives to tell them Donna is also looking for Cassiel. A communication bug comes on again. Derrida recognizes it as the voice that warned him of the bug. He remembers it was Cassiel who told him about the bug in the first place and made him create a chip. Cassiel tells them he has something to tell them and also tells them where to meet him. The following day, they travel according to Cassiel's instruction, but Donna tails them. Cassiel weakens Donna's prosthetic hands, and they escape. In the car, Cassiel tells them he was part of the team that designed and hid the bug, but now he is telling them the truth due to his guilty conscience, as he has lost his wife and family to the robots. He also informed them that Mage came to meet him before leaving, and he gave her some necessities, and she said she was going to a quiet place. They stop by a mountain where Donna attacks again. She stabs Vidox, and Derrida uses Cassiel's weapon on her again, and they escape through a bus. Vidox is injured and begs Cassiel to distract the bounty hunters till he recovers. Derrida doesn't understand until he sees some red missiles. They inform him that the government is planning to destroy the affected areas. Derrida attempts to go back to the past and change this, but Ange, that speaks to him, tells him he can only change the past once. Derrida assumes that since Mage is trying out his thesis on time riding, she will be at Yates Engineering College. They attempt to drive there. The group is tailed by several cars, and Cassiel fulfills his promise of diverting the hunters. The team escapes, stopping to rest at a safe place. They are attacked by DZs and Derrida, and Vidox stands to fight against the DZ despite his weak state. Vidox gets kidnapped by the robots, but the team saves him. They later stop at a stream to wash up and rest. Meanwhile, Mage has found a professor to help her with her time travel. They eventually get to the engineering school. However, they aren't allowed inside. Marlene, Derrida's instructor, sees him from afar off and orders that he should be allowed into the building. He and Yuri sit to talk with Marlene, who informs them that the first time she met Mage was during her father's burial, after which Mage came to meet her about Derrida's research on time travel. She refused Mage, and 6 months ago, Mage returned. She had perfected her studies of the time travel theory. Reluctantly, she gave Mage Derrida's document despite knowing it was risky. Derrida regrets his 2 experiments, the DZ and the time travel theory. Marlene tells him about one of her failed experiments which led to Donna, and says the failure of scientists is leaving his experiment undone. She gives him a jamming device to block DZ's sensors that Mage gave her. Derrida reads through some of Nathan's work and finds out where Mage is. Derrida tells his team that Mage is at his lab trying to practice time riding so she can change the world. While they talk, they receive the news that an opposing government is planning to throw missiles at the part nation taken over by DZ. They leave for the laboratory, where they meet several DZ a mile afar. They fight through it, and they eventually drive towards where the DZ couldn't attack. They assume they have reached Mage, but Schmidt attacks them for the chip. He sends both DZ and military against them. There is no way out at this point, but Graham activates its auto-destroy, and she destroys some DZ. Vidox also offers to stay and fight while the others go for Mage. As they walk, a military officer catches them and attempts to kill Derrida. However, Donna arrives and kills the officer, and insists she will be the one to kill Derrida because he was the one that facilitated her terrible invention. Derrida apologizes to her. He tells her she was fashioned after humans, and he didn't invent her for evil. However, he apologizes that she was used in such a way. Donna leaves them. As they are about to enter the laboratory, Mayuka asks to leave. She leaves and returns to Vidox. They enter the room, and they see the setting. It is just like Mage's birthday party. As Derrida noticed earlier, time travel can only happen with vivid memory, so Mage has set up the room to recreate the memory. They see a letter that directs them to a video Mage made for herself when she returns from the time travel. Upon watching the video, Derrida realizes Mage was the one that time traveled and brought him to the future. He had always wondered why he didn't lose his memory after the time ride. He realizes he has been depending on Mage's memories. That's why his memories were conflicting. They talk to Mage, and she wakes up, but all the memories she has is the memory of her birthday. Amid this, Schmidt threatens them that the world will soon be destroyed and Derrida should give him the chip so he can take them to safety. Derrida takes the last change to time ride and changes the world. He returns to Mage's birthday and tells her he will support Nathan in the time-traveling experiment. As a result, everything changes. Cassiel tells them about Andre's plot. They use the chip to debug the DZ immediately, and they arrest all the executives involved. Ange appears to him for the last time. She tells him he died in the attack with Nathan, but Mage went back to save him, thereby creating a new personality which is Ange. Everything
And I'm pretty sure that you are.